Hey you guys, it's your girl Natural. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy you're here. If you're new to this channel, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video. I hope you guys like my new setup because it just had to happen because we rearranged furniture, and so my old setup just didn't work anymore. So it's here to stay. Hope you like it. I just wanted to give you guys, Success Squad, an update on the petition. So I have all of your comments. I'm reviewing through them carefully. And I'm making changes accordingly, and sometime this week we'll come back to it. So stay tuned on that, and hopefully, I hope by next week we can go ahead and put those petitions out and spread them among all of our Success Squad friends, our communities online, on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever your thing is, all of that stuff. So we'll come back to that next week, and again on this week, and again on next week. So guys, let's talk about Harry and Meghan escaping the palace. Now, I've got the notes pulled up here just to take a look at sort of the timeline and remember kind of the plot and the storyline and everything. I really, really liked it. I think it definitely had a different vibe from the other movies, the other Lifetime movies. Of course, like we said in the past ones, we know this is Lifetime. We ain't pretending it's nothing it's not. We know it's not HBO, it's not Showtime, it's not 20th Century Fox. It is Lifetime, you know. So you can expect it to be over dramatized. You can expect it to be, you know, taking a few liberties on and a few fudges on actual historical facts and things like that. But that really doesn't bother me because I feel like these movies really capture the sentiment of what Harry and Meghan were feeling, like the emotional aspect of it. So I do love that. I like how the movie starts with centering around Diana's passing. You know, I feel like that was such an instrumental part of Harry's life. I also like that the movie confronts the social media hate, because a lot of people will be so oblivious to why it is that they really hate the successes on such a visceral level, and they forget, no, you've been swayed by the social media monster, as I like to call it, that can't think on its own, to hate them, you know. And the movie confronts that by showing this tweet where people show baby Archie as a monkey, you know. And I think it's hilarious. People in Britain keep saying, Britain's not a racist country. Britain's not a racist country. Show me one example of racism. We've shown it to you. But that persona of white privilege, that persona of a Ken or Karen, and it's like it can be an institutional Ken or Karen, basically it has the power to keep changing the goalpost, to keep changing what the definition of racism is, or not necessarily to keep changing it, but just to reject what someone is telling them is perceived as racism and prejudice and bias to them. And so that just shows that people from the very beginning saw that this was a mixed race black woman and they hated it, you know. That's why us filling out these petitions, continuing to advocate for the successes, continuing to stand up for them, to pray for them, it's so important. I think that the movie also, for me, I don't know about you guys, you can tell me what you think in the comments. I thought that it was really interesting in the way it showed these players within the firm who kind of had these sinister sort of background tasks running motivations to bring Harry and Meghan down. And it seems like they're doing it not necessarily because of duty to the monarchy, duty to the royal family. It seems like they're doing it because they're othering the one guy who married a mixed race woman in the royal family. And you know what's really bizarre is that, how can I describe this? Like I've said, U.S. and U.K. histories have kind of a difference in after the transatlantic slave trade and the Industrial Revolution. It's sort of like those two histories kind of went off into different tangents, you know. And so the way that we talk about race today, our openness to talk about race, about sexism, about misogyny, about LGBTQ rights, things like that, about abortion, it might just be different from the United Kingdom. A lot of this stuff, you know, traditionally British people don't want to talk about touchy subjects, and on the monarchy level, that's on another level, you know. They're not talking about touchy subjects except with those right people, you know. And so the fact that you have this mixed race Black American woman coming in here and she's just being herself, people, even though she's just being herself, they're literally perceiving that as being something that they have never quite seen before. You know, I think that what was his name? The American lady that married Queen Elizabeth's dad's brother. I can't think of her name right now, but even she was a lot to swallow for the British people. She was white, you know, even though they were like Nazi sympathizers, you know, whatever. This is a different story, but still, like, you can imagine, I guess, how these people would feel on some subconscious molecular level when Meghan Markle got there. It's not an excuse, but I think that the movie shows a great way of showing that discomfort. You know, there's discomfort there. It shows wonderfully Meghan's growing sadness. You know, I look back at pictures of Meghan around this time, around 2018, 2019. She looks miserable. You know, she looks like the light is just being sucked out of her. You know, she's putting on a brave face because she's a strong, independent woman, and that's what she does. And she's also a positive person at heart. She is someone who sees trouble in the world, and she does everything that she can do in her small ways to address those things. And you can just see, you know, people telling her, don't go out, don't do this, don't do that. You know, everyone looking at her a different way. You can see it starting to weigh down on her. And I think that the movie does a great job of showing that. I think the movie does a great job of showing Prince Harry feeling helplessness and how that helplessness in him continues to grow and grow and grow. I also did like the actor shift here. I feel like these actors kind of not only resemble Harry and Meghan the most, but I also feel like they captured them probably the best. Even sometimes looking at the movie, it seems like I'm looking at Harry and Meghan actually. I also thought the first movie's characters did that as well. The second movie's actors I didn't love as much. I think that this is where Meghan does the Vogue cover, and there's a lot of lashback about it. This is where she does the cookbook. I think I talked about that in the last one, but it actually happened in the third movie. I think I talked about it as if it was in the second movie, but it was in the third. And Doria's there supporting Meghan. And, you know, it shows her simultaneously connecting and growing closer and closer to Prince Harry, and seemingly as she's growing closer and closer to Prince Harry, she's growing further and further away from the British people. So what a lot of people in Sussex Squad have been saying, other content creators under other channels, you know, that from the beginning they wanted to break Harry and Meghan up. The fact that we see so many hate articles around Harry and Meghan's divorce, which people are just making up narratives on their own like they've been doing for the past decade. You can really see how they really intended that to happen. I like how the movie shows that Princess Diana wasn't some figure that was, you know, perfect. Like how we all kind of think of her as some angelic being, and she was without fault. I like that the movie actually shows, hey, she was actually a real person. The acting can sometimes seem a little bit forced or monotone, but it should make sense because, again, we're remembering that Harry and Meghan at this point are so bogged down with emotional trauma and stress and depression and anxiety and fear for their lives and their safety at this point because they face so much bigotry, white nationalist threats. You know, every move that they make was monitored. Everything that they wanted to do was rejected. They had to do everything that someone told them to do. Prince Harry has been living his whole life as just the spare, the person in the shadow. We don't care about that guy, you know, and now someone's really making him feel like, oh, I actually matter. And people keep beating him down. So you can imagine the amount of emotional turmoil that's going on. So I can understand why the movie is taking so much more of a serious tone, I guess I want to say, than the first two movies. You know, a lot of people, I like the way that William and Kate are portrayed in these movies. A lot of people might disagree with me on that, and I'm not saying that it's completely accurate, but I do think somewhere inside of there, William and Kate are probably closer in um, um, they're closer in, how do I want to say this? When I look at Camilla and Charles, it's like in wavelengths. That's what I'm trying to say. When I look at Camilla and Charles, and I think the movie portrays this well too, I don't even think they're on the same wavelength as Harry and Meghan, or even the everyday person for that matter. They're so disconnected and out of touch with what's going on in the world. And that might just really be associated with age. So I think that William and Kate, they see Harry and Meghan and they don't see them as just stupid children acting petulant, I guess, like Camilla and Charles might see them. They actually might say, okay, we see what you're saying, but still, you can't go up against a thousand-year-old institution. You can't do this, you can't do that. So I don't know what's going to happen when William and Kate take the crown, if they do take the crown, if the monarchy is still around for them to take the crown. But I do think if there is some hope for resolve, you know, it's kind of like Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. It's like Ron DeSantis would be like just as worse as Donald Trump, but maybe he'll be like 0.00002% less worse. That's how I feel about Kate and William. I never ever give up on hope. I never think it's too late for someone to learn something new. And you know what? Again, this whole situation with Megxit and Harry and Meghan leaving, and I think people have changed it to sussexit, you know, to flip the narrative, you know. But the whole thing was sussexit, and you know, the British royal family rejecting them, rejecting their notions of systemic racism, and the smear campaigning that's been going on for 10 years. The whole thing about that is that we want to hope that for the next generation things are a little bit better. And if we don't maintain that hope, you know, I am a Black American woman. I live in Europe, but I'm Black American, and so you know, my culture literally comes from oppression. If you don't remain resilient, you won't be around for the next generation. So that's the hope, right? That each generation gets better. And if we lose that hope, y'all, we lose everything. So I am hoping that somewhere in there, Kate and William, they come to their senses. William picks up the phone and calls his brother. Kate puts aside whatever insecurities, anxieties, anger she has towards Meghan, and picks up the phone and calls her sister-in-law. I'm very optimistic and hopeful that that could one day happen. Call me an optimist, but I gotta believe, because we can't just live in this constant state of hate and hypocrisy and oh, and that was the other thing. I also liked how they sort of showed that Meghan has this need, this itching desire inside of her to be creative, you know, and to get back to her career. Everything with Buckingham Palace, involving, you know, the royal family seems dark and a little sad, a little melancholy, you know. And I think that that's the way that the film juxtaposes Meghan's sort of liberal, carefree, independent, creative persona, contrasted up against the monarchy. The Oprah interview I thought was great. I mean, they look so much like the actual characters. A lot of people like these movies, guys, and I wonder if Lifetime is gonna do another one. All in all, I thought it was great. And I think it's great that it captures the emotion of it all. I think that right now a huge reckoning of accountability, because you know, just people are really uncomfortable talking about institutional racism, institutional prejudice. They're really uncomfortable, and many of those people who were very uncomfortable are white people. And I get that it's hard because for so long, that persona that is white privilege has said, let me control everything. My way is the right way. Your way is the wrong way. So Eastern Europeans, Asians, blacks, Africans, Latinos, they look at that and they say, well, hey, why can't we have a symbiosis of everybody's way? You know, does it always have to be your way? And historically, white privilege just says, no, it's not that way. And then white privilege gaslights you to make you think that, you know, you were somehow lesser. And right now, you know, if there's some hope that we can all just say, hey, this is a multicultural landscape that we live in, a new landscape, and we have to have these conversations about that. Until that day, that the British monarchy, that, you know, the institutions we exist in here in the U.S., in the U.K., in the U.S., in France, in Spain, in Italy, in Australia, until it could just be real honest and say, we did some really bad stuff in the past. European people and European descent people have done some really, really shisty stuff in the past. But we are sorry, and we validate your feelings, and we recognize what we did. Until we can get that, we cannot move forward. You know, when you're looking at all of these hate groups, especially the ones that have formed around the Sussexes, a lot of them, you know, I was looking at this interview with this woman who was a reformed white nationalist, and you know, she said when she joined a movement, it was like they were just, it was like a drug. They just made her feel like just because she was white, she was like the bee's knees. Like, and I can understand the desire for that. I can understand the attraction to that. But you're invalidating people's experiences. A lot of people, not just black people, Asian people. I mean, I have a lot of Asian friends, and hearing my Asian friends recount their stories of experiencing racism is just as heartbreaking as black people. And so I feel like these institutions like the monarchy, at some point they're going to have to listen. They had such a wonderful opportunity with Meghan, and they gashed it up. So but the movies were good. I really, really liked them. I don't know. Maybe I mean, Lifetime movies is like, you get what you pay for. It's like, you're not going to get something super incredible, but might make you shed a tear, might make you have a little authentic laugh, a real laugh. And, you know, I think that's good. It captured the emotion of the Sussexes very, very great. And I hope they come up with another movie, because I want to see more about after they got to the U.S. and Lily, and you know. So, alright guys, well, I will leave it there. If you're new to this channel, please go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell so you know whenever I post a video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Bye!